know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis. Inspiring people to do better, feel better, look better, smell better, sound better, make better love, whatever it is, every damn day of their lives. And our Wednesday show, brought to you by our friends at Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar and Front 43 Neighborhood Pub on East Saginaw in Lansing, just on the edge of Lansing and East Lansing. And outstanding happy hour specials at Front 43 and Cask & Company. All draft pours, $3 from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. $1 off draft pours from 4 to 6. Half-price appetizers, $5 selected martinis, $5 house wine pours, half-price flatbreads, tons of great stuff during happy hour every day. So you get off work, you need a beer, you need a meal, you need a snack. Front 43 and Cask & Company, cannot recommend it enough. Great place to watch a game, of course. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. $3 beers for an hour. I remember those days. Trying to get as many as I can. Yeah, I'll take 2 more. Thank you.
So
good old days.
We have a little bit of show news to begin with.
Oh, we do?
We have a good show today, by the way. We have Steven Sipple from the Lincoln Journal-Star is going to join us. We're going to talk Nebraska and what this team is and how much of a threat to Michigan State they are. And then we're going to have Harry Gagnon on and pick the games, do our can't-miss parlays, which for me is truly can't miss.
You're good.
Yeah.
I did some homework, though, this week.
Okay.
So mine might be all right.
All right. So I'm excited about that. First, show news. We're going to primetime.
We are?
We've been called up to the big league, so to speak. That's not actually true. But we are going to do the show at a different time. We're not moving forward, but we're moving back. In other words, Sunday nights, Tuesday nights, and we haven't quite decided whether it'll be Thursday evening or leaving the time where it is on Fridays. We'll figure that out. For consistency's sake, we may go to Thursdays. We're doing it for both of our schedules and for the strength of the show. It'll just be better for us. It's easier for us to manage, and so that's going to start this Sunday. So that means like hot takes. It'll be a Sunday hot take show. It'll go live about I think we're going to go out at about 6:30 p.m. So. And we'll adjust. If there's something Sunday, like if the Lions play the 4 o'clock game against Matthew Stafford and the Rams on Michigan State's bye week, as they do their 4 o'clock game this year on the 24th of October, we'll do something different. We'll come in early Monday. We'll do something different so we have time to react to that and get that in the show. But
say that again, Sunday,
October 24th.
Okay.
But most of the time we'll tweet out, Saturday night. And you'll have a couple hours after the Lions game to get them in if you want to include the Lions in our hot takes, and then we'll
just copy and paste from the week prior.
We'll go live. We'll go live Sunday nights. We'll go live Tuesday nights with our Wednesday show essentially, unless Michigan State basketball or something's playing on Tuesday. Then we'll do a Wednesday night show. So just keep that in mind, there, Jason.
Just look for your podcast wherever you find your podcast.
If you like listening to the show or watching the show from 1 to 3 or 1 to 2 on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, you will still be able to do that. It just won't be live anymore. It'll be live the night before.
Yeah.
So that's
do it whenever you want. Recreate it.
So, we're just doing that for the sake of the show, for the sake of our schedules, and it needed to be done, and we're going to do it. So, Cockburn. Yeah. Hope everybody is okay with that, and we'll move forward.
And if you're not, oh well.
There's nothing we can do. We've got to do it. The Monday, Wednesday thing, especially, was becoming difficult. All right, there's a few things I want to talk about before we get into Nebraska with Steven Sipple here in about 10-15 minutes. We didn't really touch on Michigan State's latest basketball recruit on Monday very much. People were so jazzed about I know you love when I say jazzed. Damn it. They were so fired up about the football win over Miami, and for good reason. That's where most people's hot takes were. That's where our heads were. But I do want to get into the basketball recruiting situation at Michigan State and where the team is with 2022 and where that roster is. Because I think there was, and I don't spend a whole lot of time on message boards, but I had been alerted to some panic there, and I did certainly see it on Twitter. And you could see this even from people who are knowledgeable about the program, sort of this uh-oh sentiment coming about what was happening with Michigan State basketball's 2022 class. And I just didn't buy it. Number one, I mean, obviously now they have Trey Holloman, the point guard out of St. Paul, Minnesota. Now they have Jaxon Kohler, who's going to be in Southern California this year at an academy with a national schedule. 2 4-star kids, top 100 kids. Neither one is a top 50 kid. Jaxon is rising quickly, and I wouldn't be stunned if he winds up I actually think he'll wind up as a top 50 kid, just the way late offers were on him. But I think these are, look, we've seen when Michigan State didn't have a number of top 50 kids. We saw it with the class that's now seniors this year with Gabe Brown, Foster Lawyer, Aaron Henry, Marcus Bingham Jr. I mean, that there is something to, those guys can be developmental guys, and it can take a minute, and you got to have some high-end dudes. But I think Trey Holloman's going to be a good player from everything I've seen. He's not going to be a point guard who has to come in and play a lot right away. Look how stacked they are at the point guard position. So you're good there. There shouldn't be any fear going out, a few years, because I just don't think that you're going to wind up with a situation where you're needing a point guard at Michigan State for at least 3 years probably. And then you look at the bigs, and that is a question. And who will they have? And they get Jaxon Kohler. And, would it be good to have Enoch Biake, who's massive and big and all that stuff? And do they need to keep recruiting? Yes, they need to keep recruiting. But Michigan State is going to be able to supplement, and we've talked about this, their roster with transfers more easily than most schools, and to figure out, what they need and where, and they'll be able to do that later in the process when they know what the need is. When I look at this group with Max Christie and Pierre Brooks and Jaden Akins as sort of a group that is, and Tyson Walker, that's going to have multiple years together. And you're trying to supplement that group with guys who are already there and guys who will come in and join them and be role players. That, again, that's what you're looking at this year and a year from now especially. I think there's so much proof that you cannot panic at this point. Sure, that class that's seniors this year has had some headaches. But look at what they've done consistently since the panic began with Tom Izzo. The panic began back with the Tum Tum Nairn era, the Javon Bess era, Marvin Clark era, when they were missing out on key guys out of Chicago. And all that's been proven since then is he's gotten enough big names to almost every year. And obviously the 2016 class was immense. Then you get guys like a Jaren Jackson Jr. You get a you've gotten a number of, let's just go through the years. 2013-14 should have won a national title. 14-15 went to a Final Four with a team that was very much a middling team. 15-16 had that game that they blew to Middle Tennessee, but was certainly in the national title conversation, a contender. 16-17, a young team with a great class. 17-18 should have finished better than they did, but again, in the conversation. 18-19, Final Four. 19-20, the season gets canceled. Might have been on their way to a Final Four. Obviously, Xavier Tillman in that class. In other words, where is, they've had some moments where they didn't have great classes. Where is that really limited them yet? Last year, maybe? In a COVID year where a lot of things were I just think at this point the proof is there, and ultimately what's happened in this class has nothing to do with Izzo and recruiting. It has everything to do with how bad Michigan is in 2022. It's just a really weak year for the state. Just a bad year for the state. That's the strength. That's his strength. And, Michigan, yes, has a commitment from the only top 50 kid, and I think Juwan Howard's going to make that more difficult on Izzo. But I just find it, I think there should be too many lessons learned that things will come together in a class well enough. And this Kohler kid, I really like his game. will he be? Who does he defend? What will he be as that sort of player? But who he is with his footwork, with his ability to shoot the ball, I think he's going to be a guy that is a known household name, Big Ten big man by the time he's done. I do. And I think he'll be around 3-4 years.
You heard it here first on Couch in the Root.
Somebody wanted the comparison, gave me the comparison to Thomas Kithier. Thomas Kithier can finish nice around the rim. He always has had that good touch there. He was better as a freshman than people thought.
Because they're both white?
But, yeah, Thomas Kithier doesn't have this kid's footwork in the post. Doesn't have this guy's feel for the game the same way. Thomas Kithier had a nice feel for the game. I think there's a higher ceiling offensively with Jaxon Kohler than there was Thomas Kithier. I don't see them as the same player. The questions, though, defensively, is he might be a Kithier. And Kithier, did his – I mean, that's going to be the challenge for him. But, again, I think it's a good pickup. Izzo has done a great job with guys who are developing. I mean, who's the better recruit? Not Miles Bridges or Cassius Winston to you, Jason?
I know what your answer is, but it's going to be Cassius Winston, but I still say like Miles Bridges.
Okay, well, that's a fair argument.
Right in today's basketball, I think Miles Bridges would be a bigger get. Maybe he has friends that are also 5 stars, but obviously you want a guy like Cassius in your program for 4 years.
Yeah, and Cassius took them to a Final Four, might have taken them to another. Yeah, what you want is you want to be old and talented with guys who are really good college players, but borderline pros so they don't leave too early.
But the future of college basketball is like the Penny Hardaways, and they're just hoarding some of these 5-star guys.
But what I'm saying is Jaren Jackson, who has a chance to be a phenomenal pro if he can stay healthy, and was a developing player, and I don't think they used him 100% right that year. Don't get me wrong. There are things you can go there. But you didn't get the best of him. You got the developmental year of Jaren Jackson, and then he's gone. Jaren Jackson, big-time recruit. Cassius Winston, Xavier Tillman, better recruits, even though they're lower ranked because of what you get out of them. And I think they've done a real good job in that sweet spot of finding guys who are talented enough, and every once in a while they miss. Every once in a while they don't get a couple guys, and they wind up having to go a little lower down the ladder. But I just think there's too much evidence to panic. It's with MSU basketball, as long as Izzo's around, as long as his staff's around, it should be a let it unfold. They haven't missed an NCAA tournament yet, even though last year was a tough year. They've got a really nice, promising young group. See what their 2023 class is. I think their 2022 class will be fine. I think he will start using the portal more. I think that's going to become a thing in basketball, even for old stubborn dudes like Izzo, the way it has for Mel Tucker. And I think that's
and people are expecting the sky to fall before it actually is going to, so you can't really enjoy the season, right? Like you mentioned, let Izzo do that, and then you can panic the next year. And
I don't think people. It's not a sky is falling as much as like this class and what it means.
Right.
And either missing out on guys. The class that's a senior this year, there's no question with the Foster Lawyer and Marcus Bingham, and obviously Gabe Brown, guys who are slow to develop or left. Aaron Henry, the best of that group, and there's no doubt that class, the lack of development in that, hurt them. And the speed of development hurt them. Not every class is that. And you look at the other programs that wanted Kohler and made him a priority and came in late. And, I think he will be a really good player at Michigan State. And are they going to need to go get another wing? Are they going to need to get another big? Absolutely. But they can do that. And sorry, that's my computer. What? So first of all,
what are you playing on there?
I just went to a website that popped up a video. New rule: if I go to your website and you pop up a video and you play sound with it, and our own website does this, and I would love to see this happen to us too. You're banned. Your website is shut down for 24 hours. Like that should not be a thing. There should not be audio with any video that pops up.
Wait, so you want to ban the paper you work for?
Yes.
I mean, oops. It's supposed to be breaking news.
I'm just saying. Like, I don't. You want to pop up a video?
I pay $11.99 a month. I don't want it banned for 24 hours. I need my Lansing news.
I'm just saying. Don't give me sound. You want to pop the video up? Make me turn the sound on. I don't even know if we give you the sound or not. We might. A lot of places.
But why is your sound up? Like, you should have your sound on your computer, though.
That's a fair point. As a user error,
it's kind of on
too.
you.
It's totally on me. Partly.
As you're wanting to ban your employer's website for 24 hours.
Yeah, I don't blame myself well for things initially when they go wrong.
And that goes for our own paper.
I just wanted to talk a little hoops there because we hadn't done that Monday, and I do think there's, at some point there may be a class that's really debilitating over the long haul. And last year, again, the COVID year, look what Michigan State football was in that year, and look what they are now. Look how difficult it was, and the teams that did really well last year were teams largely that brought everybody back in basketball. I'm talking about. And they really understood roles, and they understood, Michigan State was not one of those teams. They had new guys and new roles, and it just didn't work.
My team.
And they didn't have the point guard and all that stuff. So I wouldn't count last year either as complete. I don't think it was completely fair to that junior class. We'll see what those guys do this year. All right, before we get to Sipple here, how concerned are you? Like, how confident are you? Right now, the Michigan State Nebraska line is -5. It has risen and it's kind of sat there. Mm-hmm. Do you feel good about that line?
I feel great about it. I'll feel great about it until it gets to 7.5. That's when I would stop being excited about it. But if you can get it 6 and under, take it.
Yeah.
Why not? What we've seen after 3 weeks, I think it's an easy bet for me. Not even being a homer.
I'm with you. Like, to me, even if you're wrong on it, it's the right bet. You get to a certain point of these where you can lose a great bet. And if you win this bet and you bet money on Nebraska, you didn't make a good bet, I don't think.
Right. If these name two different teams, if we saw them and watched them play and the line was like that, it's just a good bet to make no matter what.
Totally. And so I'm with you on that. I'll be curious to see what Sipple has to say on this. Anyway, we'll take a really quick break. We'll have Steve Sipple from the Lincoln Journal-Star on, columnist. He's kind of my counterpart. If I lived in Lincoln, I would be this guy. Good dude, knows Nebraska football as well as anybody.
Does he know that?
What's that?
That you think you're the him of here?
Well, we kind of are. We're mid-sized towns, college towns, capital cities, sports columnists at the paper. We are exactly entitled what each other is. Also, make Skymint part of any weekend, any tailgate. If you're going to be out, I'm not saying you want to watch every Michigan State game stoned, and this Michigan State team has definitely made it easier on you not to. But it's a great addition to a tailgate. A little bit of edibles, a little bit of pre-roll, whatever you want to do. Go to skymint.com for location information. 3 in the greater Lansing area. They're throughout Michigan. And use the Couch and the Rube promo code, Couch and Rube 20 for 20% off. And add Skymint to your Saturday. You got a long time. Game's a night game. So we'll be right back. Couch and the Rube.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen, Bar, or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with one awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code Couch and Rube 20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find Couch and the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Graham Couch, Jason Nick, Couch in the Rube, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis, and our Wednesday show brought to you by Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. If you're looking for a place to watch this weekend's Michigan State game, great MSU specials during the games. Go to caskandcompany.com, check out their expanded new menu. Great beer selection, and you know how I feel about the setup there with televisions at Front 43. Very pleased now to be joined by I would say my counterpart at the Lincoln Journal-Star, Steven Sipple. Sip, how you doing, man? Thanks for taking some time.
Oh, it's my pleasure to do it. It's great to hear your voice, and look forward to the discussion.
Are you making the trip up this weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, I'll definitely. I'm really looking forward to getting back there.
No, I look forward to seeing you in person. So, I think everybody in the world saw the Nebraska-Illinois game, right? And that's the problem for Nebraska when you see that. And that sort of forms opinions, and then everybody else starts playing, so a lot of people see their own teams. And all year people think of that Nebraska team. How different is Nebraska post the Oklahoma game, post what you've seen from them so far, than the team that was on the field against Illinois?
Well, I'll tell you, Graham, it's a good question. It's a little different on offense because in that game, they did have one of their tight ends, for instance, Austin Allen, who's one of their better players. You know, on either side of the ball, he'd be one of their top 4 or 5 guys. He played, but they didn't have their other tight end, Travis Vokalek, who'd also be one of their, top 5 or 6 players. Big kid. I mean, one thing that's striking about Nebraska for the Spartan fans that watch warm-ups, they have a 6'9", 260-pound tight end and a 6'7", 6'6", 260-pound tight end. They're both really good. They're both good players. They didn't have Vokalek. They didn't have Xavier Betts didn't play much in that game. Xavier Betts is a 6'2", 200-pound freshman receiver who had the long catch against Oklahoma, 55-yard catch. He didn't play mainly just a coach's decision. Omar Manning is another good receiver that didn't play much in that game. So the offense will look different and better than it did that game. Other than that, not a lot. But that's sizable. It's, if you would have told me they were going to start the season without Vokalek and with Xavier Betts not playing the receiver, without Omar Manning, I would have said, well, they're in trouble because they just don't have that much. They don't have a lot of skill position talent besides those guys. So it'll be different. They're not a great team. They're not bad, though, Graham. Nebraska's not bad. It's a very interesting team because they're much better at the skill positions than they've been in the last few years, especially at receiver. They're just really struggling up front on offense.
Yeah, they haven't been able to run the ball that well. They haven't, and I'm also like the perception of Adrian Martinez as a quarterback, is a guy who's a little limited as a passer, and obviously his numbers though last week were pretty good. Where is he? And when you can't run the ball, like you may have weapons as a quarterback, can he do enough in the passing game to make people to really utilize those weapons? Yeah,
he can. Now, I find this to be interesting because I know it's obvious to me you're going by the Illinois game, and he was terrible in that game. I mean, he was pretty terrible. He was 16 for 32. Adrian Martinez against Illinois in the opener was 16 for 32. And he airmailed, for instance, I thought it was sort of a Houdini act. He overthrew a 6'5" tight end by 4 feet. I mean, I don't even know how it's hard to do that. In fact, he had 3 or 4 throws that he missed high in that game, and he didn't look good throwing the ball. And that's been the knock on him, is inaccuracy and decision making. Now, some fans will remember, though, in 2018, he was really good as a freshman. And then his performance curtailed, and it's been as you can imagine, Graham, in your shoes, the discussion that's ensued has been interesting. To answer your question on Adrian, where I've come down on this for a couple years is if Adrian had the right amount of talent around him, I think he'd look a lot different. I think he'd play a lot different. I think you'd think differently of him as a quarterback. I've made it pretty clear that I think these coaches have done Adrian a disservice by not putting enough around him. Now, what I would tell you, though, is against Oklahoma, when they had all their guys, full complement of receivers and tight ends, and now they're going to add a guy against Michigan State to that equation, too, a guy named Oliver Martin, who had 6 catches against Illinois, who hasn't played the last 3 games. Now I would not say that they've done him a disservice at this point. They've put enough around him now in terms of receivers, tight ends, and running backs. And the last 3 games, Graham, he's looked good. I mean, it wasn't just the Oklahoma game where he was 24 for 34, maybe better than that even. He's been accurate the last 3 games.
He looked
good.
He looked like a different quarterback against Oklahoma from what I saw.
Well, and what I'm telling you is he was now as good as he was against Oklahoma. He was every bit as good against Buffalo. I mean, he was really. I mean, again, that was one of his better games against Buffalo. Threw the ball deep. I mean, they had 6 completions of 23 yards or more against Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken. And Fordham was Fordham, but he looked good in that game. So he came off Illinois with 3 strong games, and it sort of changed the narrative around here about it. After Illinois, it was same old Adrian. Now the last 3, it's been, oh God, look at he's starting to play again like he was a freshman. So what I'm telling you, Graham, is I guarantee you your defensive coordinator, Scotty Hazelton, is probably very concerned about number 2, I would think.
And last week it was interesting. They played 3 mobile quarterbacks in a row, and De'Aaron King obviously is a pretty good player, and they gave him a lot of they gave a lot of cushion to King. Like they made him try to be patient, and they wanted to take away the run and live in the pass. And so I'm curious what the approach will be this week, because I think they feared getting beat deep is with their corners. I'm wondering, Nebraska's defense to me looks like the strength of the team. It looks like a team that can compete at a pretty high level. To what extent can they carry this side and cause problems? Like, I think I'm still trying to judge Michigan State a little. I think Miami was a step up. There were some challenges that Michigan State had to adjust to and figure out. And I wonder, when I look at the size and some of the guys on Nebraska, if this won't even be a bigger test up front for Michigan State.
I think it will be a bigger test than Miami. Nebraska's defense, here's the best way to characterize it, Graham. They're a tough bunch of kids. They play well together. They do rally to the ball. They'll come for a fist fight. They'll be ready for any fist fight, anybody that's out there. But here's the thing now. You understand this. They don't have – okay, this is what I always push in this market. Nebraska's a good team. If they don't have a first-round player on defense, you can say this about offense too. They don't have a first-round player. They don't have a second-round player. They don't have a third-round player. They maybe – like the tight end, Austin Allen, or maybe Cam Taylor-Britt, the cornerback. You might get me to the 4th round on some of these guys. But in this year's draft, they don't have that. And they haven't had it, by the way, since 2016, which has been a big issue here. But as far as the defense goes, all they're really lacking is that kind of star power. They don't, and the thing that we talk about here ad nauseum is they don't have that. They don't have that big time pass rusher off the edge. They haven't had that since Randy Gregory. So, but they're good. They're tough up front. It's a tough front 7. You have, I think, 2 really strong linebackers in Luke Reimer, who's an inside guy, and then JoJo Doman's an excellent player. And these guys are NFL players. I mean, they're just not, second round, first round guys. They have NFL players. Don't hear me wrong. They have them. They have NFL players throughout the roster, but not Randy Gregory's and Amir Abdullah's, and you can think of the Michigan State players that have been in that realm. And those are the guys that make a big difference. But, hey, they should be pretty strong against the run.
What's the vibe with Scott Frost? What's the heat on him? Like, I mean, obviously there was, again, you get that opener that's just this thud, but you live there in the fishbowl, and I'm wondering, like, is there? I mean, to me, it was a great hire when it happened. It was the hire that made all the sense in the world, and you know, are people still rooting for him, or have they moved on from him, or what is the sense with him?
It's fairly complicated. I mean, it's sort of a sociological phenomenon that's interesting, psychological phenomenon that's interesting. People want it to work, but it just hasn't worked. I think they still hold out hope, but now it's year 4, and the conversation's really heavy, Graham. It's sort of uncomfortable because it's really weighty. You know, every game, you know, I think you've probably been through seasons like this in your role, that every game is sort of a referendum on the program.
Totally. I wrote the same D'Antonio column. It felt like 7 straight weeks, a couple seasons. So
you know exactly. So you understand when I say heavy, right? It's just, there's a sort of foreboding, and then when they win, there's this gigantic relief, you know. But I wouldn't characterize it as pleasant. It's not exactly. It doesn't feel pleasant, but now that brings us to this game, I guess. If they would win, if Nebraska would go to East Lansing and manage to win this game, it would take some pressure off. And then next week it wouldn't feel real heavy with Northwestern coming to Lincoln next week. It would be an opportunity for Nebraska to get to 2-1 in the Big Ten. Now, Graham, I mean, what people are saying here, and what I'm about to write after I hang up the phone is, this is probably the biggest game of the Frost era. You know,
wow.
It's probably the biggest game. I mean, it's big because they're 0-1 in the league, and if they go to 0-2, well, hey, they're essentially out of the West race because they're 0-2, but also because the upcoming schedule is very difficult. If they lose, the path to a bowl game is really rocky. In year 4, and they haven't made a bowl since 2016. And you know, in Scott's 3 seasons, they haven't made a bowl. And all of that is really rough. It's a rough conversation. And if they lose this game, I think interest will wane. You know, it'll take a lot of the zip out of the season. If they win, be the opposite. I mean, there'll be a lot of enthusiasm. I mean, and people, the last thing I'd say, Graham, is the theme here from Scott has been, we're close. You know, you've been through that too, I'm sure. We're close. You know, we're really close. Well, you know, fans are, you know, they've heard that too much now. You know, now they want to see it. So I hope I kind of illustrated why.
No, absolutely.
This feels like a gigantic game here.
Last thing, Sip, what's your sense of what's actually going to take place? Who wins this game?
I have a hard. I've had a hard time reading Nebraska, but I've said it on a couple shows here this week, so I don't mind saying it to you. I can't pick Nebraska to win. Here's why. I just can't do it. It'd be disingenuous because they're really struggling up front on offense, Graham. I mean, their offensive line has been a major disappointment, and their kickers missed 7 field goals this year. He's missed 5 of his last 6. How could I pick him in that scenario when I think it's going to be a close game and the special teams? It hasn't just been him, by the way, that struggled on special teams. Lately, it's been mostly him, but I can't pick them if with their kicking situation the way it is and their offensive line situation the way it is. So I'd pick Michigan State to win probably something in the neighborhood of 28-21. I think it could be pretty close.
Yeah, I don't. The Vegas spread is 5, and I think based on what I've seen, I would take Michigan State there. I'm less comfortable with it than I have been in some other weeks where I think Vegas has had the wrong underdog with MSU. But Yeah,
it's tricky. It's tricky because Nebraska. Hey, I would say this, Graham. I just want to impart this. Nebraska's pretty good. They're a strange team. They're pretty good. I'm telling you, the receivers are a huge upgrade from the last few years. It's sort of a new conversation because they haven't been all together this year much. But if they have Oliver Martin out there with, if your people can remember these names, if they have Oliver Martin with a guy named Manning who's 6'4", 225, and a guy like Betts who belongs at Texas or Oklahoma or somewhere where they really throw well, and they have the two tight ends, that's as good a receiver core as I've seen at Nebraska in a long time. They don't necessarily have the big-time speed on that side of the ball, but Betts can fly. Martin's sneaky fast. So I don't want to portray Nebraska as this horrible program. They're pretty damn good, and they hit you. They will hit. So I'm still very interested. They just got that damn offensive line that can't block it.
Steve, I appreciate all the time and the insight. Fantastic stuff. Look forward to seeing you in the press box.
Yeah, we'll chop it up then, and I really appreciate you having me on.
No, absolutely. Talk to you soon. Safe travels.
All right, Graham. Take care.
That's Steve Sipple from the Lincoln Journal-Star in Nebraska, and you get a sense there. I mean, the guy knows the program, right? I mean, he gives it to you straight. Jason, what are your impressions of things that stood out that he said?
I don't know. Like he said, there's no first or second or third rounders on Nebraska, so I'm like, all right, hammer Michigan State. But, hey, Nebraska is a good team. I don't know. So there's a roller coaster of emotions in that interview. I felt like that interview could go 4 hours. You guys just –
yeah, well, the thing
well,
is –
the offensive line, though, that's how they must do Radio Nebraska, just break down all these.
Yeah, it's weird because Michigan State is now favored, other than the Youngstown State game, for the first time in a competitive game, right? So you're looking at –
but they should be. I think Nebraska's ass, and it's a must-win game for Scott Frost. You think this team – you think the players are going to get behind Scott Frost?
I don't think they're ass. I don't think that's right. I think defensively they're better than Miami, and that's what interesting. The receiver situations.
I'm talking about covering the spread.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying ass is in the Michigan State's going to win by 40, but just covering that spread.
The receiver situation is interesting because I've been reading some of their stuff there, and some of the stuff he got into. They've been shorthand. Like they have some dudes, and the tight ends are for real. They
have athletes.
But the thing is, and Michigan State did this really well against Miami. I'm just curious about the approach. Is they said, we're taking away the run, beat us with the throw, be disciplined enough to throw underneath because we're going to have this giant cushion, and ultimately our offense is good enough. We'll be opportunistic taking away the ball. Like what they did, I don't know that Nebraska can beat MSU if it's in that if Michigan State plays the same style defense. And if MSU doesn't turn the ball over. What's made MSU so good so far, beyond all the other things going for them, is they just don't turn the ball over. Very rarely. And Peyton Thorne, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Like, that keeps going. Michigan State's going to keep winning. This is going to be, and what's interesting is Michigan State has now played itself to the point that this might be the biggest game of the Frost era, right? Like, that's respect to MSU.
It says a lot about Nebraska as well.
I also, though, think this is a big game for MSU in the fact that if you lose this game, there is an emotional thud after these 3 weeks. It's not like the season's over. People will rally and there are lots of big games left. But this is a game that seems very winnable. At the beginning of the season, before the Nebraska game, I think a lot of people felt like that this was a complete toss-up, right? And now it feels much more winnable, like you ought to win it, like you're capable. Like if you don't win it, it's disappointing.
How did we do this show 5 days a week? Like imagine if we had another 2 straight days of having to break down this game.
For 2 hours, too. We used to do we'd do a LeBron segment in the end hour, too. But that's also how we got your stories about being in jail for 72 days in that summer.
Yeah.
I always wonder, there are people who join us later who've never heard the failed sports book or the Santa Rube, the time, you woke up as Santa on the couch at a strange woman's house, or being a diabetic served first in the Ingham County Jail and what that's like. These sort of things emerged out of desperation late in 2 hour shows. And so, I do wonder sometimes if we miss some of that.
No, we'll still get there.
Okay, as long as
I don't know. Maybe I'm out of stories. I don't know.
But. Yeah? Okay. Well, Should we get Harry on the phone?
Live read.
Yeah, absolutely. No, a reminder, if you're also looking for a lunch place, I think one of the things that Front 43, we talk a lot about Front 43 and Cask and Company as date night, as watch a game, as happy hour. It is all of those things. It is a fantastic menu in terms of sushi, burgers, sandwiches, lots of things that make great lunch meals. You can eat lighter. You can. It's a really good place to chill and have a business lunch, to chill and have a relaxed lunch. And they've got this outdoor patio that I've been on several times. It's where my soccer team goes on Monday nights. And it's, I think it's one of the more underrated patios in the area. Like because of where Front 43 is, just off of East Saginaw, you think the way they've got the separators up there and the way they've got it's you've got room. It's a great vibe. It's one of the best patios I've been around, and they've done it really, really well there. And as things get colder, they do a nice job too of having heated lamps and smokeless fire pits and all that stuff. So Front 43 Cask and Company for lunch, for happy hour, for dinner, to watch a game, for a date, whatever it may be. Very pleased now to be joined by our friend Harry Gagnon from the Against All Odds podcast, and also bestbetcorner.com and extrapoints.com. Harry, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on?
It is good to have you again and chat with you. By the way, Harry, I'm killing it with the can't miss parlays.
Oh, nice, beautiful.
So I'm
by the way, just throwing it out there. I know that you're the known soccer guru now, Graham. So I just wanted you to know my on extrapoints.com today. My video pick, I've been hot lately, hit 3 of my last 4, and my video pick today is a soccer play between West Ham and Man United.
So which way did you go?
I went over 2.5, and then I checked this morning, and it's already been pushed up to 3.
Wow. So what's going on right now, and that game is today, is it's the EFL, it's the English Football League, it's the Cup, right? It's the
Cup, right?
Right. It's like a secondary tournament they have within the season, and there's a lot to keep up with because they don't play all their top guys all the time. You have to look at how deep teams are. I actually like Man U a little bit in that. I like Chelsea a bit more today against Aston Villa, even sitting some guys.
Aston Villa?
Is Jason snoozing again during our talk?
No, he's listening.
No, I'm all over Aston Villa.
Yeah,
Those got some guys in that village.
Yeah, he is there. All right, let's dig into the game.
This soccer assness. Let's go.
He is, and by the way, I'm just getting a tip. This is a late breaking tip. That the Chicago New England Revolution tonight, if you listen to this game on Wednesday, take the New England Revolution over the Chicago Fire. This is a Chicago Fire fan who knows everything about them. So just throwing that out there if you want to bet some MLS action on a Wednesday night. Okay, let's dig into these football games.
Sure.
Let's start with an interesting game, Soldier Field game, Notre Dame plus 6.5 versus Wisconsin. And, if this game was in Madison,
yeah,
I would be – and I know Notre Dame has not been that great, but I don't trust Wisconsin's offense either. And if it was in Madison with Jack Cohn going back, I don't know. But as bad as Notre Dame's been at times, give me the plus 6.5 with Notre Dame here. Jason, where are you on this?
Jack Cohn, revenge game, ? Notre Dame plus 6.5, definitely. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I'm on it too. They haven't looked fantastic in their wins, but Cohn 8 touchdowns, 2 picks this season. But it's really about the running back, Kyren Williams. Yeah, he's averaging 4.6 yards a carry. He leads the team obviously in rushing, but he's also the team's second leading receiver. Too strong here. I don't trust Wisconsin. They lost that game at home against Penn State. Too many points here. I'm taking the Irish.
All right, next game, Rutgers plus 20.5 at Michigan. Rutgers has a safety. It looks like he's going to be missing after having a paintball gun or something in the wrong. It's kind of, they've gone through a little bit of turmoil this week. That spread has jumped from 19 to 20.5. It might have been 18.5. I think it's gone up a full 2 points toward Michigan. And what I don't know yet is I think Rutgers is a little limited offensively this year, but I think defensively they can play. The question is, and we saw this against Washington, if offensively you're limited, does at some point your defense break? And Michigan at home, Michigan apparently doesn't play road games, I guess. Does Michigan do you break to the point that this winds up being a bigger spread than 20.5? So I don't love it either way, but 20.5 to me is too big for what I think Rutgers is physically, and so I'm going to take Rutgers on this. Jason, where are you?
A paintball incident? What's up, Schiano? You're going to suspend guys for that? That's minimal.
Nah, it had to do with a gun that looked real or something.
So
yeah,
what?
Right.
Come on.
It's a big game. Come on.
It's a big game. Give me Rutgers plus 20.5. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I told Graham, I told Jason a couple days ago that there was an outside shot I was going to go to this game. Looks like I'm not going to go right now, but I did have tickets, but I'm not going to go. Got some other things going on, but I do like. Listen, I do have to kind of give it up to Harbaugh's squad a little bit. 3-0, like you said, Graham. All these games at home, but they are 3-0 against the spread and covered all three easily. But, I'm leaning a little towards Rutgers still, though. 10 rushing touchdowns this season as a squad. Michigan is, speaking of Camp Randall, they're in Wisconsin next week. Maybe I don't know if they're looking ahead here, but maybe they just want to make sure they get everybody to play in that game. There's no injuries here. Take it easy. It's a lot of points here. Rutgers have put up some numbers this year offensively. I'm going to take the Scarlet Knights.
Yeah, no, it's... Again, I see the scenario in which Michigan covers, and it makes me a little nervous. But right, the logic says it's them, says it's the Knights. Okay, Nebraska +5 at MSU, and I would say I would advise MSU here. You have to trust your eyes. What you've seen so far, they're at home, things are going well. Absolutely, I think this game could be more competitive than people maybe think, and I think the score against Miami. There are things about Nebraska I think are better than Miami defensively. But I think Michigan State's going to win by at least a touchdown. And so the spread's at 5. I think it's a pretty good line, even though Vegas is starting to catch up with MSU. The line moved from like 3.5 or 3 to 5 already. Jason, where are you on this?
Well, Harry, we had the Graham Couch of Nebraska sports writers on, and he gave us up and down information, but he said he can't pick Nebraska. I just think the number's too low. I trust Michigan State at home, so give me Michigan State given the points. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, Michigan State looks very good, guys. You guys must be pumped for the way the season's going so far after the past couple. I mean, Kenneth Walker, he's been fantastic. Leads the nation in rushing. He's got 6 total touchdowns. Nebraska, like you mentioned, Graham, did play pretty good defensively last week in Norman, but got to go back-to-back games, Norman, then East Lansing. Michigan State just seems too strong offensively. They're putting up big numbers on the Spartans.
No, I figured that. Yeah, it's a good line. At some point, and right now Michigan State's just playing like smart, mistake-free, complete football in a lot of different ways, and not. I mean, there are vulnerabilities, but I don't think that Nebraska can exploit them.
I think, guys, too, I think you're getting a decent line here, Graham. I know you love studying these numbers. I think you're getting a decent line with the Spartans considering Nebraska, the way they did play defensively against Oklahoma. Because if they would have got blown out last week and given up 49, 56 points to Oklahoma, that line and Michigan State winning in Miami, that line might have been 8 this week if Nebraska got crushed. But since they didn't, 5 is a very favorable number.
All right, going to the NFL now, and this is a game that I'm just going to tell you right now is going to be in my can't-miss 3-team parlay. Colts +5.5 at Titans. You don't know if Carson Wentz is playing. This is on the road. There are things that went well for the Colts to keep that competitive. If Wentz is limited or he's not playing, I love anything inside a touchdown with the Titans right now. I'm all over the Titans. Jason, where are you?
I know, but the Titans have been confusing this far. But if I see Jacob Eason and I only have to give up +5.5, even Carson Wentz with 2 sprained knee or ankles, give me the Titans given the 5.5. What do you got here?
Yeah, Jay, and I agree. Even if Wentz is in there and he's not healthy, he still hasn't looked that great. Still not getting the offense rolling for the Colts. I can't have Eason in that role if he's a starting quarterback. Tennessee with a solid night comeback last week in Seattle. Henry looked fantastic again. So give me the Titans at home.
Yeah, it's I don't know, the line's it's too good a little bit, but part of it's NFL lines. NFL lines are hard to make big. And we'll get to this next game here. Ravens -8.5 at the Lions. That's a huge line in NFL worlds. In the college football, that's not. And I know the Ravens will test their maturity a little coming off that win against Kansas City. They are a much better team than the Detroit Lions. And defensively, they're a lot better than the Green Bay Packers, who the Lions had some success against, I think. So I love this game here. I love the Ravens -8. In a parlay, I'm maybe even willing to buy a full point just to get it to 7. But even straight up at 8, I'm a big fan. Where are you at, Jason?
See, now I just think with all the running back injuries for the Ravens, 8 points is just a little heavy for me. So I'm going to take the Lions. Still going to lose, but give me the 8 points. What do you got, Harry?
Jay, I'm on with you here. I mean, it was a nice win for Baltimore, no doubt about it. But in 2 weeks now, they've given up 33 to the Raiders, 35 to Kansas City. I don't know how much this defense is going to be able to hold up. Detroit did let me down a little bit on Monday. I did have them up. I had them plus 13. Couldn't get any scoring in the second half at all. But still, Goff and Detroit have looked decent at times. They looked really good. They look a real team actually on Monday night in the first half. I think this is too many, especially with like I said, a Baltimore defense that just continues to give up chunks of yards. I'm going to take Detroit with the points.
Chunks of yards against Mahomes is different than chunks of yards against the Lions.
But gave up 430 yards passing to Carr.
Have you seen Jared Goff, Graham? I mean, come on. I can throw bullets.
Okay. All right. We'll see. All right. These are games. This next game I put on here because it's a great game, but I don't know if it's a great gambling game. Buccaneers -1.5 at the Rams. Obviously a marquee game. I don't know what to think entirely.
We all hate it, so why'd you put it on here?
I don't know, because it's a big game. Felt like you got to put the Bucs-Rams on here. It's a total stay away from me. I would be on the Bucs, even though it's at the Rams if I had to choose one way or another. Jason, where are you?
I'm going to keep it simple, Graham. The Rams have Matthew Stafford and the Buccaneers don't, so I take the Rams.
Okay.
What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I'm taking Tampa here. I don't love it either, Graham. But so far through 2 games, it seems like the Bucs and Brady seem like they can do whatever they want. They can turn it on whenever they want to. Rams had to scrap out a win last week against Indy. Tampa Bay has won 10 in a row dating back to last year. They've got 7 touchdowns and 10 red zone drives this season. Stafford's look good, but I'm still going to lean towards Brady here, and they get it done.
All right, again, it's an awful game to bet, but it's a good game. Seahawks at the Vikings. This one I like a lot. I like the Seahawks -1.5 at the Vikings. I think they're better than the Vikings. I know the Vikings are better at home than on the road. I like the Seahawks team. I think in what's essentially a pick 'em, they get it done. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, it's Seattle. If it stays at -1.5, I like that number. What do you got, Harry?
I'm leaning towards the Vikings here, guys.
Damn it.
Well, Seattle choked away that 15-point halftime lead last week. I don't like, and I said this at the beginning of the season when we had gone over games and teams for the season. I said Seattle's offensive line needs to hold up. They don't look fantastic sometimes, and their running backs not getting a lot of production yards wise out of Carson and the rest of the crew. Minnesota unlucky in their 2 losses, but offensively look great. Rookie KJ Osborne actually leads them in receiving, not Thielen, not Jefferson. Cook rebounded with a big game against Arizona, and Daniil Hunter, 4 sacks so far this season. I think he's going to terrorize Wilson in Minnesota's home opener. Give me the Vikes.
Interesting. Well, that just took me off that game entirely. Okay. Now it is time for our 3-team parlays. Harry, we'll let Jason go first here.
A little music now.
Yeah, Jason said he's done some real research this week, so this could be good.
Well, I need to get one of these because Graham keeps bragging about his. All right, let's go with Northwestern. Harry, at home, giving 14 and a hook versus Ohio. Ohio lost to Duquesne and got blown out by Louisiana Lafayette. Come on, Northwestern's bad, but not that bad. Second game, Stanford at home versus UCLA. Give me Stanford +4. The first 3 games were on the road for Stanford. They lost to Kansas State in the opener, but hammered USC to get Clay Helton fired and beat a tough Vanderbilt team. I don't know if Vanderbilt's tough or not. I just thought that sounded like...
But they put up 40.
Yeah. And UCLA's first 3 games were at home, and they lost to Fresno State last week 40-37, and the Chip Kelly factor.
Good Fresno team, though.
Yeah. All right. Wyoming, -29 and a hook versus UConn. I mean, seriously, do we have to go down UConn's schedule here?
Yeah, they beat Ball State by more than that, I think, and now they're at UConn. Yeah,
no, they lost to Holy Cross by 10 points. Mm-hmm. They gave up 52 to Army, so that would be.
And Fresno shut them out.
Absolutely.
So that would make my parlay plus 595, Harry.
I got to tell you guys, before you start rolling with yours, Graham, I got to say right now, you got to really impress me here, Graham, because I like Jason.
Okay. All right. Well,
no pressure.
Here's what I got. Give me Indianapolis Colts plus 5.5. Well, actually, by the half because it's a parlay. So, sorry, I didn't mean the Colts. I meant the Titans. Don't take the Colts. Good God, fix that in post. If you're listening right now, I know sometimes Dominic Soppel's listening when he hears the game itself. Take the.
He's cracking already, Harry.
Yeah. I was gonna cut you off right there, Graham. If you were taking that, you were taking the Colts. But okay, so
Titans minus 5 by the half point. Okay, then Toledo at Ball State, and I know that Toledo looked pretty competitive against Notre Dame. Ball State was awful and got shellacked last week all the way at Wyoming. Toledo is more than 4.5 points better than Ball State in my book. And then I'm going to give you an either or. And I'm going to tell you, this is how confident I'm getting in these parlays. Third leg of the parlay. So you could call it a 4-team parlay if you wanted to, but third leg of the parlay. Pick your poison. Baltimore minus 8 or Michigan State minus 5. You can go either way.
So you're going 9 different options. See, this is what happens, Harry. He got buy the half point. This
pays $5.42. Now, if you take Baltimore, though, I will say this: buy the full point to minus 140. No, I'm telling you right now, if you can, or the alternative line, it still pays $4.76. 100 pays $4.76 if you buy the half point with the Titans, half point with Toledo, full point with Baltimore. 100 pays $4.76. It's still a great play. Don't lose a parlay by half a point. So that would, or in the case if you can get it down to 7, it's still at minus 140. I really like that Baltimore line. I really like Toledo. Really like the Titans. And if you want to sub out the Ravens because you're a little nervous about the size of that line, go Michigan State. That would be. I'm saying both. So which one do you like, Harry?
Well, I got to say this. Like, me and Jay both on Detroit a little bit here, but I hear you talking pushing Baltimore down to minus 7. If you don't want to take that, take Michigan State, and we're all on the Spartans. I get that. Like the Titans as well. But I got to say here, Toledo, after their game against the Irish, they really suckered me in last week, and they cost me a chunk. I think I might have texted Jay. Texted Jay this. They cost me a chunk on a money line parlay. I had them at last week. Only loser on like a 16 money line parlay at minus 700 against Colorado State, who had looked awful, who had lost by 20 in back-to-back games at home, and Toledo only managed 6 points for the entire game.
They were dog shit, but they are an immature team, and they did not respond well to their loss to Notre Dame. I'll give you that. I think they bounced back and beat Ball State on the road by 10, 14 points.
That may be the case, and I get it, but still, boy, Ohio is really bad. Northwestern again. Jay's laying a chunk here. But I still kind of like that, too, because Ohio has, they lost, like you said, lost to the Duquesne Dukes. That's a 1AA school. I like what Stanford's done. Their over-under for the season was only 4.5 wins. But like I said, they've gone back-to-back weeks putting up 40-plus points and rolled USC. And Wyoming looked great last week, too. And UConn, like we mentioned before, just the program is basically, who knows? They can't find a conference. They don't know what to do football-wise. They may close things down soon. When it comes to football there, it's gone really bad for the Huskies. So I'm going to lean towards Jay. I like Jay's parlay here.
No, and I would actually I think there's a combined 3-team parlay that I like Jason's parlay a lot, other than I don't love Stanford, the UCLA pick. I love his Wyoming pick. And what was the other leg of that, Jason? It was Northwestern. I love that pick. And I think if you threw in my favorite of my games is the
you're
Titans.
Jumping on now.
Titans. So I think if you took out Stanford and threw in the Titans minus 5.
Keep your games out of my parlay. Is this?
All right, and so in terms also, I know people like to hear what my English Premier League picks are for the week. No, this week I will tweet it out later. It's a tough week because the real key to the whole thing with the English Premier League, and there are some games that I think competitively, Everton at home against Norwich, there are some opportunities. But when you get like a Man City versus Chelsea, two great teams. That's a great game. Just it's the Bucs Rams. It's a shitty bet. It's a great game. There are a couple of those sort of situations where the mismatches aren't there that are sometimes there. So I've got to do a little more research. I will definitely tweet out a Premier League parlay before the weekend, though. So
make sure I get those, Graham. I want to make sure I get those.
I will.
I'll be looking.
I will. Harry, you're a beautiful man. We appreciate it. Look forward to talking next week.
See you, Harry.
All right, guys. Let's hit something. Thanks.
Harry Gagnon from the Against All Odds podcast, and also Best Bet Corner and ExtraPoints.com. I like your parlay, Jason. I do.
That scares me.
I know.
Because you've been on such a heater. It's got to stop at some point.
I know.
Now you want to jump on mine.
I know. We'll see. We'll see.
Some research.
We appreciate Harry. We appreciate Steve Sipple. We appreciate you listening. And, again, we're moving to the evening starting this Sunday, Tuesday, probably Thursday. It'll be Thursday or regular Friday time. We'll figure that out before we get to that actual show. Thanks to SkyMint. Go to skymint.com for location information, including 3 in the Lansing area. And throughout Michigan, use the Couch and the Rube promo code Couch and Rube 20. Let these guys be your guide on your cannabis journey like they have for myself and the Joe Ingles of Weed over here, Jason Nick. And thanks to Front 43 and Cask & Company, just north of Frando on East Saginaw and Lansing. Couch and the Rube.